to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. It is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Nadu here on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel. We're here every Monday through Friday breaking down the card on the hardwood. It's the turn of the calendar to March, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy about that. I had a great January, didn't have a real good February. But now is the time where you can right your wrongs. There's a lot of money to be made in the futures markets, the conference tournaments, the NCAA tournament, the NIT, the CBI, the CIT. There's so much out there. And this is where the big boys come to play because we don't have to sit there and research, at least I don't, these small conferences because I already know them. So we're here. We're going to break it down today. I'm going to try to essentially hit every game. As many of you know, there's not going to be a thought on every single one today, but we'll kind of hit on each, try to find some value here. I did this a couple of weeks ago. Whenever I don't have a guest, I try to just bang out as many games as I can, right? And try to just have something speak, just try to go through everyone. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have some fun here. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll also take some of your questions if you have them. It doesn't have to be related to basketball. If there's just a question you want to ask me, it's rare that I'm doing something where there's not, only me here. So yeah, do me a favor, jump in, have some fun, ask what you want, and make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe. I know a lot of people might be here from yesterday. I thought yesterday's show was really good. It was kind of one of those groundbreaking shows where, you try something, you see how it works. And I think probably 95% of the comments were very good. I think people really enjoyed the show yesterday. And it's trying those new kind of duos or trios where you see how the content works and you go from there. And I thought it was really good. I think it's obviously clear that both Rico and I really know the sport of basketball, and we like to talk about these different teams and stuff. And shout out to Rico. He came on, gave us a couple of winners. So shout out to him. Villanova, I tailed. It was a great pick by him. And look, we've talked about it, guys. Free throws is so important, and how instrumental it was to Villanova covering last night. It's just how it works. And that was a good call by him. Thought we got super lucky on NC State, which I'll take. Then you look at, interestingly enough, the other one, Clemson, getting 6.5, lose by 7. It's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, guys. It's how it goes. You also look at the bad beat I had late night. Was it a bad beat? I don't really know. It was a rough one, though. But that's San Diego State, guys. It's like from the beginning of the year, anytime I'm involved with this team. So like if I back them in an under, okay, they can't miss. If I back them in an over, they can't make shots for the final 5 minutes. I bet against them, they can't miss. They get every rebound, every loose ball. When I bet on them, Matt Bradley can't hit water in a boat. It's just, they're a hard team, man. I have not been able to read them all year. I would probably surmise that I've lost probably 5 to 7 units on themselves this year. Just a rough team. And that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, he did a good job. And, hey, we move on to the next day. So I hope he has a good night tonight. Yep, there you go. Listen, man, we always are going to have the detractors, man. Look, the truth of the matter is, man, that's a huge show between him and I. It was people wanted it forever. Listen, dude, do me a favor. You can be 199 and go ahead and leave. Listen, I think it's abundantly clear, guys, okay? Whether it's me, whether it's Kelly, look, we all do as much as we can. We try to create as best an audience as we can. And look, there's stuff on the Barstool Sportsbook that gets more eyes than others. We have a niche audience here. And you know what, dude? If you want to make fun of us for the audience we get, I do pretty okay for being someone that barely promotes. I promote the show. Unfortunately, I can't get Dave and Dan to write off on everything I do. I would love if they promoted the show. I don't ask them to promote it. I just do what I can. I come on here and just try to talk about college hoops. So you know what, man? I think I've grabbed a pretty cool audience. We have generally 400 to 500 people in here live every day. We get a couple of thousand here. It is what it is, man. I don't have time for you people anymore. Some of you, I'm just not going to entertain this crap. If you don't like the show, don't watch. I don't know what to tell you. Todd Marquez, what's up? How you doing, man? Kyle Wright, what's going on? Yeah, listen, he's not going to be on here every day. He's welcome to come on every day, but he's super busy, and I'm not going to expect everybody to come on here every day. Yeah, listen, see, again, that's what some of you guys don't really seem to understand. We're not in a competition. Rico is a great capper, so am I. There are nights where he wins. There are nights where I win. It's not about beating me in anything. Some of you commenters, I think, are the worst part of all this. Sometimes you guys get way too deep in some of this stuff. Thanks, Kings. That said, let's get into the card. I really don't want to get into this whole kind of battle back and forth. Rico and I think are really fun, and we have a good time together. And we now do our thing with just chatting and do what we do. But again, I don't make his schedule, dude. There's nothing. He's welcome to come on here whenever he wants. He has a busy day. I have a busy day. We can. He's welcome to come on whenever he wants to. And I'm sure, look, if he lost this night, you people would be in here breaking his balls. So it is what it is. You can't win with some of you guys, so I don't try to. That said, go check out the sit down. One of my most proud things I've done. Something where I don't have to worry about do I win every night. You get tired of that after a while. I'm to be judged on what I put out, and there are very few people that know more about this sport than I do. So let's get in to the show. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to, as I said, essentially go over every game. I'm not going to probably hit every single one, but I'm going to try to give opinion to the best of my ability. Xavier, Providence laying 3.5 here, total 151.5. We saw these two teams play several weeks ago. We obviously know how good Providence is at home. That's a norm under Ed Cooley. We know they're very good, really at any level, whether it's a favorite, whether it's as a dog. They're just good in the dunk. That's how they do. That said, this has been a good situational handicap for Xavier as well. It's rare we get him as a dog. They've been good on the road. I think there's kind of signs that I'd like to back both these teams. That said, I'm just going to be real. I don't have much of an opinion on this one. You look at the first time they played, it was a high-scoring, back-and-forth affair. I think it was 86-84, something like that. So it was a close game either way. I got to be honest, I have a hard time playing against Xavier as a dog. But then again, I love them at home in Providence. So to me, it's a complete pass I would look to avoid. And I'll tell you right now, as far as I think how you bet late season college hoops before the conference tournaments, you have to tread very lightly. Okay. These teams are going to try things. They're going to be things. Look at San Diego State. Prime example last night. You can make a case for both. San Diego State, who just didn't give a shit. And then you have like a Marquette who just, it was business as usual. And Butler's just that bad. And that's how things are going to go in the NCAA when you get into the last week or two of the season. Teams are ready for the conference tournament. Auburn, Alabama. This is an interesting one because Alabama, I believe, wins the regular season title tonight with a win. That's not to say today is, look, I think they're probably going to win, but can they cover double digits or right around double digits against Auburn? You look at since the Brandon Miller stuff came out, they played 2 games. They're 0-2 against the spread in the 2 games. They had a close win against South Carolina. We remember that one. They were 17-point favorites, won the game at overtime by 2 or 3. They followed up on Saturday, are down 9 at the half to Arkansas before rallying in the second half and getting the job done, winning by 3 or 4. They were laying 7.5 in that game and lost. So lost the spread battle. So they're winning, but they've struggled. Okay. We've seen Brandon Miller have to rescue this team not once, but twice after this news has come out. So you kind of are asking yourself, at what point do we see them put everything together and win going away? I will say this about Auburn. I thought this was too many points at these current teams, right? So, but then you look at Auburn and you say, well, they're on the road. There's not a lot to play for here. They're in the NCAA tournament. They're kind of an even team on the road. So I don't know. I leaned Alabama, but it's a hard time to play them right now. They just haven't looked like the same team since that news. But they could turn it on at any time and win by 25. Another game that I'm not looking at. One game that I do like tonight, and I admit I played the money line here when it was at 1.5. I like Richmond. Okay, I'm willing to back them on the road here against the St. Joe Hawks, who are really in a bad way right now without their two bigs. St. Joe's is battling, but they just don't have a ton of talent when Obina and Klasick go out. Obina and Klasick are their two bigs. You look at without them, they've allowed 88 and 89. Not a great recipe here as you head into the final day or two of the season. Richmond, to me, if you're going to give me them in a coin flip game here without those two bigs, I'm going to back them here. Richmond, as we know, very good offensively. They always are, no matter whether Mooney's on the sidelines or not. That Princeton offense is a good offense to back. They're great from the free throw line, and they don't turn the ball over. You could say what you want about Richmond, but they always are going to score the basketball. You also look at St. John's on offense, just not very good. Richmond, if there is a thing I like about them on defense, they shut possessions down pretty quick. I don't know how dynamic St. Joe's is going to be without those two bigs. I'm willing to say that I think Richmond, in a short travel, can go up to St. Joe's and get a road win here. Look, it's hard betting road teams in college basketball, but I've identified a matchup where I have two bigs out, and these team is just not the same without them. So I'm going to go ahead and look up at that one and say I think Richmond can win a coin flip game here. I don't have much interest in. Someone's asking about Maryland, Ohio State. Here's the thing about Maryland, Ohio State. Maryland is very backable at home, and they're not backable on the road. I'd be on Ohio State if I played this, but I'm not. So I don't have an opinion. The home atmosphere is spoken for itself in a Big Ten, guys. It is exponentially better for the home team in this conference. It just is. I don't really know how else to say it. The only team that it's not been the same for is like a Wisconsin. But yeah, I mean, Ohio State's been bad. We all know that. But Maryland on the road is not great either. Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, kind of an interesting one here because Pitt is, I believe, got a share of the title with a win tonight. The 3.5-point favorites. You look at it's the final game for Mr. Bray in South Bend. But they have nobody right now to play. I don't know who's going to play for Notre Dame tonight. So I feel like they're going to try to sell to you like this is a good spot to back them. And they might play spirited because it's Mike Bray's final game. But if you back them, no, you're getting a team that has several players out. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, same thing here. I know Liam Robbins has been in and out with a back injury. So I'd maybe watch this one here as well. Again, guys, if there's something I like in conference play that's not a conference tournament, I'm going to tell you. Like Richmond, I like that one. Do you just bet against Tulsa at this point? Tulsa is, guys, this is pretty amazing. Tulsa's 5-23 this year, straight up. They're 4-22 against the number. That is dead last in America. That is hard to do, 4-22. And remember, they're big dogs a lot of the time. You look at the last 5 games for Tulsa. Okay, they were 13-point dogs, 11.5-point dogs, 14.5-point dogs. I mean, they're constantly double-digit dogs and still losing. You look at on the road this year, they're 1-10 against the spread. This team is terrible, okay? The only saving grace they're going to look at is we just want to get to the end of the season here. This is already a South Florida team that beat them up pretty bad in the first game. I think they won by almost 30. South Florida dropped, I think, 95 points on them. Tulsa's bad, man. Tulsa's real bad. I've said that on this show for a while. Fordham GM, George Washington Davidson, Mass Duquesne. I don't have much on any of those. LAU Brooklyn Merrimack. Remember tonight, guys, first game of the NEC tournament. Merrimack is the number 1 seed in this conference. Let me say that again. Merrimack is the number 1 seed in this conference. Now, a little bit of, what do you call it? Housekeeping here. Merrimack can win this tournament, but they will not go to the NCAA tournament if they win. Okay, remember, they're on that stupid 4-year thing where you can't make the NCAA tournament. I don't make the schedule. It sucks. I hate that rule. It's stupid. That said, Merrimack's finally eligible to at least play in this thing, which is cool. You get to share. They're the best team in this conference. Now, that said, Bryant's gone. So if Bryant were in this conference or Wagner was a little better, we probably wouldn't have this situation. But Merrimack's been good. I mean, that press zone kind of hybrid they play, really effective. They're finally healthy again. Dering's back in the lineup. Minor's back for Merrimack. And Joe Gallo's a great coach. I've said before, LAU Brooklyn is the worst team in America. I don't think it's close. They're really, really bad. And Merrimack has ran roughshod over them all season. That's one of the reasons this number is, 17. You look at the first game, 80-59, 76-59. So they won by 17 and by 21. Do I liken this a bit to Liberty last night, which I kind of mentioned? I thought that was a 20-ish point win, which it ended up being. Kind of. LAU Brooklyn is really bad. Really bad. And these teams just played the other night, last week. So I remember this is a site game, right? When I say site game, this is a conference tournament that the higher seed hosts. Okay. So keep that in mind here. I think Merrimack is going to run roughshod over LAU Brooklyn. LAU Brooklyn is real bad. But you know what's interesting? I mean, IUPUI last night, they played pretty well given the circumstance in their conference tournament. The season's over, but played pretty well. But LAU Brooklyn is bad. Wagner and Sacred Heart, interesting game here. I was surprised to see Wagner as a dog. Look, Bashir Mason's gone, but this is still a pretty decent team. I was kind of surprised to see him as a dog. Donald Copeland's did a decent job there. They're pretty good defensively. As usual, play a zone. It's kind of their thing there. They won the final 2 games, beating Stonehill, good team. But you look at the regular season, lost to Sacred Heart, 65-56. They were lost offensively in that game. I kind of thought, this was probably first to 65 wins. Kind of a coin flip, tough one there. I will say when you're betting conferences like the NEC, the OVC, groups like that, it's probably not a bad thing to take dogs. And I've heard, I think Jim Root said this, like he doesn't equate for much home court advantage in these games. And he's right. You go to Merrimack tonight. I mean, they're small gyms. It's not like they're going to be, sold out. It's not going to be like a, crazy atmosphere. They just don't get those types of crowds. They're not huge areas. So, like St. Francis of Brooklyn, 9.5-point dog tonight. I think the only other team that I like in this conference is FDU. FDU is the best offense in the NEC. And they're going to run roughshod a lot of the time over their opponents in this conference. They can really shoot. They're really good on offense. They play a quick up and down tempo under Greg Herenda. I thought anything under 10, I probably had some interest here, but I didn't ultimately bet it. OVC tournament starts tonight or continues. I think it started last night. Either way, whatever. Couple of interesting games tonight. So they have a couple of new teams in this conference. Lindenwood, Southern Indiana. Lindenwood plays tonight at SEMO. I believe these games are in St. Louis at the Ford Center. SEMO, top 10 tempo in the country. They want to play up and down, up and down. You look at the games this year between these two, very high scoring. One of them got into the hundreds in double overtime. But you look at it in regulation, I believe it was 78-78 in regulation. Both these teams want to play up and down. Lindenwood really likes to shoot the rock. This is another conference where it is a foul city conference. I mean, you see regularly, you'll see games, 35 free throws, 32 free throws apiece. A lot of free throws in this conference. This total opened 147.5. It's been bet up to 148. It's a small market game, and it's been bet up. So I think that's kind of interesting. These are both really good over teams, right? They both want to play up and down, right? That's kind of the way they do things. And you look at Lindenwood, okay? Lindenwood allowed, I think, 94 and 102 against SEMO. One of them was a win. So whether they won or not, it didn't bode well offensively for them. They both split. I think they both won a road game, I think. So an interesting conference tournament here. I think it could really be anybody's conference here in the in the OVC. In fact, before I go to the next game, I want to talk a little bit and drop any questions you guys have. I want to talk about the futures in this conference because I've heard a lot of people talking about kind of some of these open conferences and do you take shots in some of these deeper ones, right? So let's look at the OVC here. Bear with me a second, folks. One moment, please. All right. So the favorite is Morehead State. That's fine. Preston Spradlin done a good job there. That said, do you go deep? Do you say, okay, SEMO at 12, 11 and a half, 12 to 1, Edwardsville right around 8 to 1. That's an interesting game tonight, Edwardsville and Southern Indiana. Because what a lot of people don't realize in the OVC is Southern Indiana is the best offense in the conference. They're really good from three, great from the free throw line, good rebounding group. And Edwardsville really struggled towards the end of the season, losing 4 of 5. Now, I don't really like to use that as a reason in these conferences because, again, this is where you make your money. But this number opened Southern Indiana plus 2.5. It's down to 1.5. So smart people have come in and taken Southern Indiana. Look, no square bettors betting Southern Indiana. It's sharp money putting that one down a little bit. It's weird because that's another series where they split, right? Southern Indiana won one game, 82-72, and then SIUE won the other one in a kind of a lower scoring game in the 60s. So my whole thing is in SIUE, Southern Indiana, it's all going to be about the free throw line because the team that won the game in the regular season was exponentially at the free throw line more than the other team. So something to keep in mind if you're going to back those games. Oklahoma, Kansas State. Oklahoma, I think, has written off any opportunity they have at an at-large bid. So I think you got to tread lightly right here with this one. Oklahoma, their only saving grace would somehow to be run the table in the Big 12. Probably not going to happen. And Kansas State has had defensive lapses at times. So it's hard to get crazy there. I'll say right now, I would avoid the Southland entirely. They're really in the last game or two of the season down in that conference. And you got some interesting possession battles tonight, like Commerce against Corpus Christi, kind of one wants to go fast, one wants to go slow. Sela, Houston Christian, that's going to be up and down. That total's in the 160s. Georgetown, Creighton. Georgetown getting 18. We've talked before on this show that Georgetown has actually been a pretty good underdog, guys, and been good on the road in conference. You look at it in conference, Georgetown's 8-3 against the spread. Kind of a weird metric, isn't it? When we're looking at kind of situationally trends, kind of weird. But again, we're in the final week of play, and Georgetown is not going to the NCAA tournament. This game means, it's kind of one of those wait and see kind of things. Creighton, as long as you don't lose, not going to really be a big deal whatsoever. Texas, TCU. I saw the Storm Chasers are going to this game tonight. I don't really get that decision. I don't make the decision on where the Storm Chasers go. But a 22 against a 9, not going to be a court storm. Don't really get that one. But, hey, I wish them luck. Penn State, Northwestern. I think Penn State has kissed any at-large possibilities goodbye after that pathetic collapse on Sunday against Rutgers. Not good. That was a huge death blow to that group. Huge death blow. They really have no excuse here. Okay. If you don't win this game, you're surely out. You have to win every game and then a couple in the Big Ten tournament, which they can do. So I'll continue to say, I don't know if the desperation of they have to win because they're on the bubble, that has not really worked this week in several spots. Oklahoma State, Penn State. It sometimes seems like a lazy argument, and I've said it even. I think it's a lazy argument. Just because a team needs to win doesn't mean they're going to. And when you're backing bubble teams, you're going to get a lot of poor performances a lot of the time because they're a bubble team. Some teams help themselves, like a Michigan or whoever, and then some teams hurt themselves, like a Clemson or a Penn State. So, and this is my continued question as to how does like a Brad Burnell, how does he continue to remain at Clemson? It's like every year they're on the bubble. They're the same team every year. Missouri LSU, no interest. Tulane ECU, another one I don't have much interest in. I would also probably avoid the WAC tonight. They're in their final week of the season. An interesting game out on the West Coast. I know a lot of people saw this one today and they were like, why is Gonzaga playing Chicago State? Well, because Gonzaga's season would have ended and Mark Few wanted an extra game. He didn't want his team to go into the WCC tournament with a long time off. Now, independently, Chicago State hasn't played since, I think, February 19th. Very odd game here. I know when I saw the schedule, I thought, what an odd game. So let me kind of explain how I think you approach this game, because right now, Gonzaga is on fire offensively, and they look like an NBA team. They're averaging around 100 points a game over the last 5 or 6, and they've been boots to the wall, right? You know, the foot's on the pedal, and they are about to hit the NOS button. Here's what we would have to imagine goes on, though. Does Gonzaga go to the bench early? Now, here's the thing. I mean, whether it's Efton Reed or, you know, Nolan Hickman or whoever, like whoever they go to on the bench or keep in, like they're still capable of scoring, right? And I think what we see tonight is kind of similar to the game they had on December 28th. Gonzaga on December 28th played Eastern Oregon, okay, a non-Division I team, between Christmas and New Year's, right before conference play. And we look at Timmy, Salas, the big boys up front. They played all about 17 to 20 minutes, and then they went to the bench. Gonzaga still scored 120 in the game. Now, here's the thing. Chicago State's significantly better than Eastern Oregon, but we'd have to imagine Gonzaga still probably gets the 90s here. I mean, Chicago State's not good, okay? But how do you approach, do you do a first half? Because you're going to get, I would have to think they probably get a half. I would think they probably get 20-ish minutes. First half, maybe a little of the second half, maybe under 16 timeout, they pull them. They're up, I don't know, 65-30 or something. Who knows? So do you trust the second unit of Gonzaga? Because that's where this game is going to come down to. You're going to have to trust, you know, Nolan Hickman, Malachi Smith, Efton Reed, you know, the Strathers, the Timmies, the Boltons. You're probably not going to see them very long in this game. You know, and you look at other comparable matchups. North Florida, they put up 104. Portland State, 102. Northern Illinois, 88. Keep in mind, Gonzaga scored 100 against Alabama. I mean, the team total for Gonzaga is, I think, 90.5. I mean, I would still think that they don't miss much of beater, because when does the WCC tournament start? I guess the only thing Few worries about is you don't want an injury, right? Because Mark Few would never hear the end of it if Drew Timmy's in this game with 5 minutes to go and they have 108 points. Why is he in the game, right? So when is this? But you also don't want to pull them too early. So this tournament starts tomorrow. Okay, so they will play, I believe, this weekend. So, yeah, I would think Gonzaga has them in 15, 20 minutes in this game. It ain't going to be much. So the question is, do you go back to old reliable? And if you're asking what old reliable is, it's Gonzaga first half team total over. I'm probably going to bet that on some level here. That's what I would probably look to. You know, that said, I still think they get to 100 probably. I mean, their offense is that good. Their second stringers are better than Chicago State. So that's how I would look at that. What else did I have here? Utah State, UNLV. That's an interesting one. Utah State is really kind of in desperation mode. They need to continue to win games. And I'll tell you what, I mean, UNLV's got Nevada on deck. You know, they're kind of, I think, just kind of focused on the NCAA or the conference tournament at this point. Utah State's a group that, you know, really kind of need to keep winning. They're not in the tournament currently. A loss here would be very damaging if you're Utah State. And what is Utah State? They're pretty much a 3-point dependent team. They are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in America. We've seen this line at kind of 1.5, 2. Now it's up to 2.5. You know, this is a hard conference sometimes, guys. So, I would definitely look towards Utah State here. They're actually a positive road team, which is good. I think if I'm going to back two road teams tonight, it's Richmond and Utah State. I just think Richmond's got a great matchup tonight without the bigs for St. Joe's, and for Utah State. This is a team that I do think is better than UNLV, and I think defensively, UNLV is going to have some real problems with Funk and with Ashworth and, with some of those guys. So that's my thought. Let me go through a couple of comments here, and I'm going to hang on for a while here, guys. So if there's a game that I didn't talk about that you're curious about, or you just have an interesting question about the games, you're welcome to ask. Let me go up to the top here, and let me try to pick off some questions. All right. I'll start here with Richmond team total. Yeah, I don't hate it. I kind of had them earmarked for 75. I guess I worried in that one about like pace possibly because Richmond doesn't play very fast. So I kind of worry about like if that's 70, 60 or something. I just felt like they would win. That was kind of my thought. That's why I played it. It's just one of those games where I think Richmond's better, and I think they find a way to win. All right. Where is Merrimack? Merrimack is in North Andover, Massachusetts. Up in the Boston area. Not too far away. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to back conference tournament futures, you want to take teams that have good guard play. But I'll be honest, I think Merrimack is good guard play too. So, I also think a zone, playing that's just super hard to do. And I don't put a lot of stock into, once we get into conference tournaments, what the series look like in the regular season, because I think it's a different matchup. And remember, Merrimack's got a home court advantage here. So I think, to me, if I'm flipping that game, that said, 300 is a good price because you're not going to get that in the final if that's what the final is. Not related to tonight, but Bryant is a 6 in the America East going to New Hampshire. Be ready to grab Bryant. I got to be honest, dude. I don't agree with that. I don't think they're very good. I'm just going to say it. I watched that game last night. I like to just pick out. I've told you guys. I like to just pick random games and watch them. And I watched that game last night against Maine. They were not good in that game. They were down the whole second half. They had the lead at late, like for like a split second or two. I don't agree necessarily. They may, do well in that tournament, but I think Vermont's significantly better than Bryant, and I think Lowell's better than Bryant. So I don't. I think in that game you might be right, but I don't. I don't think in that tournament I'm going to have much interest in Bryant. They just haven't really put the talent together that they have, and I think it's really kind of played down to them just playing down a competition. What's up, G Shiesty? How you doing? Yeah, I would. I think the worry there fully is Merrimack could get to 80 again. That's they did it a couple of weeks ago. I would just lean on Merrimack winning the game, 75-50 or something. I think Merrimack's way better. Junior says Nadu's down 48.8 units. Well, that's just not true. Listen, Junior, see you later, man. We don't mind people talking shit, but and this idiot's back, Anton Feldman, who made another account just to troll. Listen, see ya. Bye-bye. But whatever. What else do we have here? Penn State will bounce back or at least cover. Okay, well, good luck. I don't have any interest in betting them, but good luck. All right. Well, we do that on Saturday, so make sure you check that out. The trend of home favorites against higher-ranked opponents seems to have come to an end last night. Is that due to the end of season where seeds are locked up? Of course it does. Of course it does. I already talked about that one. I wouldn't bet it. Already talked about that one. Wouldn't bet it either. I don't think there's much angle in those games. What else do we have here? Yeah, Toledo, by the way, won again last night. 14 straight for them heading into the MAC tournament. Akron, they had to fight back to. By the way, I will continue to say this, guys. When you see people say that a certain players, including myself, we don't even know. We have no idea. Ball State said Peyton Sparks wouldn't play until the MAC tournament. Guess what? He played last night, of course. So I don't know how to gauge that. I played Akron last night, so I don't really know how to gauge that. Kent, yeah, that's a tough question. I'm gonna have to see the odds. Let's see if they're out yet. I'm curious. Horizon League, not Horizon League, a MAC tournament. I don't think it's out yet. Let me see here. Yeah, it's not out yet. So when I see odds, we'll talk about it, but I don't really want to talk much until we get odds. All right, but try to get your take on the first four. Yeah, I really don't care, to be honest. I like it how it is, but other than that, I really don't care much. Would you take Texas +3? Like I said, I wouldn't bet that game. Yeah, I have no idea. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I'm not real worried about it. There's no line yet, so I don't have an answer on that. We'll have fun, Foley. Have fun. Andrew Terraberry, great show. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I remember being so happy for John Moran at Murray State. That's all I got. All right. Job beat up a kid. A lot of kids beat up kids. Who cares? Just wanted to say thank you for all the content and hard work. Thank you, Kyle Wright. Appreciate that. You're a nice guy. Thank you. Does Vanderbilt cover 10 over Kentucky? Like I said, don't have much on that one. I don't really know what the status of Mr. Robbins is. If Robbins plays, probably lean on taking them. If he doesn't, probably wouldn't. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts, guys, on the card tonight. So yeah, I laid 250. So I would surely lay 230. So yes, to win that conference, absolutely. I think we talked about yesterday, we both thought that Colgate should probably be like minus 500. I mean, I'd put them higher than that price. So yes, I bet that. Did I see Jimmy Indendino died? Yes. I'm actually doing a live show tomorrow about that. Some really sickening things coming out of the media about Jimmy I. Really shameful. Listen, you want to call him a rat, you better bring proof, and you shouldn't do it the day he's buried. Absolutely pathetic reporting by those Chicago reporters. Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, you might like me, you might not like me, but me and the people that I do content with get news over pretty much everybody in the mob genre. Scott Bernstein, people like that. These fucking local reporters, it is pathetic what they report. It really is. I remember they put out info that Carmine Persico was a rat. There's no fucking proof of it. Just run with shit. Because the FBI feeds them nonsense. It's a shame. It really is. And look, I'm not defending Jimmy Indendino. He's a bad dude, killed people. But you shouldn't be throwing out shit that he's not a rat. Just shouldn't. Especially if you don't have proof of it. It's pretty easy to find paperwork. They have CI paperwork, 302s, profit sessions on anybody that cooperated. You better have confidential paperwork that he reported in, or you better not say it. You look in prison, you call someone a rat and they're not a rat. That's a big problem for you. Any opinion on who will win the Mountain West? I would lean San Diego State. I think Nevada will be tough, though. Am I going to be at the Garden? No, I have no interest in doing that. I'm a beginner. What are the factors that change the line? Public bets, sharp bets, player injuries, all that and more. And I don't believe you're a beginner. I've seen you in here. I believe you've been in here for years. I don't know, but yeah, I think all that stuff's important. And look, the teams themselves. Yeah. A lot of people cashed with that one. I had it. I mean, that was a great win. You play to the end, as they say. All right. Great episode with Rico. Always respect for the Nadu crew. Wyatt Reviglio. Thank you, Wyatt Reviglio. Any thoughts on who wins the Big South tournament? Yeah, that gets going tonight. Look, I have a hard time going against Drew Pember in Asheville. I think Drew Pember's the best player in that conference. I don't think it's close. But I'll tell you what, Griff Aldrich and Longwood are really good too. So I don't know. I mean, Longwood, I believe, won it last year. Winthrop's obviously been good, but they don't have Pat Kelsey anymore. I would lean Asheville. I think they have the best player, and that's who I want in the end. So I would lean on them. But the two teams I'm back in there, Asheville, Longwood, game to game. Longwood's a fun team. Their coach is a really interesting story. He was in the financial world and decided he just didn't want to do it anymore, and essentially just said, "I'm going to go be a basketball coach." And he took his team to the NCAA tournament last year. They actually lost both games to Asheville in the regular season, so maybe they get a little, kind of revenge, if you will. Is Michigan getting in? No, not to me right now. I don't think they're getting in right now. No. They have a little bit of work to do, though. That could change. If they win one of the next two games, I think you can make the case they should be in. But, here's the thing about Michigan. They have brand power, right? They have Juwan Howard. They have Hunter Dickinson. They have, obviously the fan base. That's whether they'll tell you that or not, that's important, right? If you can get Carolina in the NCAA tournament, you're going to do what's in your best interest to get Carolina in the NCAA tournament. It's similar to Michigan. I just started this year, but I'm learning a lot of basics of smart betting for you. Well, thank you. And that's, I think, something that I think if you just take some of the things that I've kind of put out there, I think you can have some success. Because, again, I think a lot of the time people just throw games out and they don't really give much of an opinion. I think if you could provide injuries or context plus situational things and that sort of thing, I think that's really helpful. By the way, Boise's in, Mississippi State's in, and I'll be honest, I also would say that to me, I think Carolina's probably in at this point. But all this stuff can change over the next day or two. This weekend is going to be interesting. And here's what I'm going to say. I think you guys are going to be happy with some of the things I have coming out after Selection Sunday. I'll just say that in the Barstool world. Not going to say much more, but I'll just say that. And again, guys, I'm going to say this too. I can't get into what it is, but there is something down the pipeline, into the spring and summer months that I am going to be involved in. That is, I think, going to be pretty big, to be honest. So we got some cool things coming up. And to be honest, I continue to make new inroads in the crime community, whether it's interviewing a mobster for the first time after no one's spoken to him. I have plans to go into prisons to interview people, putting out really just quality shit with interesting and or wild stories. So excited about that. All right. Do you have a good story about the last time you lost your phone? Last time I lost my phone was in an Uber, actually. I went out. It was going out. I wasn't coming home. I was going out, and I was with my boy Ryan. And we were talking. We get to one of the places I go to, cigar bar. I get out, and I had this like kind of traction on where I guess it just flew out of my pocket. And I'm walking in, and the guy is like pulling away. And I realized I don't have my phone, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have my phone. And I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't call the guy. And I actually had to get my boy's phone and contact Uber. And it was just a whole big thing. And naturally, by the time I got a hold of this guy, he was already like 30 minutes away. So I had to wait, and it sucked. But I'm usually pretty good about losing my phone. I can't say I've ever lost it other than that. And I got it right back. But I have a pretty weird story about a friend of mine losing a phone. So one of the friends I have that I've talked about is in prison. And he and I, before he went away, we used to go to a lot of Eagles games. And we went down to Landover, Maryland for a Monday night football game with the Eagles, Redskins. This is when they were the Redskins way back. It was 2012, I think. And we're down in Landover, and we're leaving a game. And he decides he wants to get a hot dog. I think he got a couple of hot dogs, actually. And he walks over to where like the condiments are. And this is when iPhone, like he got this dope iPhone, great, awesome case, everything was fat. He puts the phone down, puts the stuff on his hot dog, and then walks away and doesn't realize his phone's still sitting there. We realize it 30 seconds, but we go back and the phone's gone. Someone swiped it. So we walk to the car. He's gone. He doesn't have a phone. We're trying to call the phone. Nobody's answering. Just going straight to voicemail. I think it was on Do Not Disturb probably, or airplane mode or something. We get into the car. We're driving home, back to PA, and we get a call. We're about 15 minutes out of the game. We're on the highway. We get a call. Hey, I got your phone, or your boy's phone. Okay, well, come bring it back to us, motherfucker. You stole the phone. You know that wasn't yours. He goes, no, I'll come to Virginia. I'll give it to you. You got to give me $100. I said, what? I said, okay, you know what? Give me the address. We'll come to you. So we drive into Virginia or Maryland somewhere, some place called Oxon Hill. I think it was in Virginia. I don't know. So we pull up, and this dude has the phone, and he's asking for $100. I say, we're not giving you $100. Give the phone back, bro. That's not your phone. And he goes, yeah, I was scrolling through the phone, and I seen pictures of this dude's kids and shit, and I was like, I felt bad. I said, well, listen, dude, like, you make us drive like a half hour south out of our way. Like, what kind of shit was this? And he gave us the phone. It was stupid. It was a dumbass thing by him to do. But yeah, that's pretty much the only phone stories I have. Where can we download your podcast? Yes, they're all on iTunes, Spotify. Just search The Sit Down, a crime history podcast, and you'll find it. What else do we have here? Oxon Hill is in Maryland. Okay, well, whatever. It was it was rough, nonetheless. They never leaked who Sal Bombensero was to the media. Sal Bombensero is a fake character. I'm not sure what you're talking about. He's a fake character on The Sopranos. But all right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. As always, yes, he's wired for sound. Yep, that's Sopranos thing as well. I'm out of here. You guys all enjoy your day. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today. I hope you guys have a good evening, and I hope you join me tomorrow. Jim Root will be back. He's back for the three-man weave. We'll talk to him, see how he's approaching the Thursday card, and we'll get ready for one of the final weeks of the regular season in college basketball, final weekends. So make sure you join us then. 4 o'clock Eastern here on the Barstool Sportsbook. Later.